Good morning. Hey, small wildflowers. Okay, let me adjust, I think. Well, it's 2025 and we finally made it back to the live. How are you, small? Are you feeling better? Is your issue? Oh my gosh, how funny. Okay. Well, we're going to chat a little bit before I start because a couple things. Oops. All right. Due to your inspirations, I thought tomorrow, and I'm announcing this for everybody. For some reason, my screen looks funny. Does it look funny to you? Am I centered? I can see my hair flying everywhere. We're kind of giving people, good morning, Margie. Happy New Year. We're kind of giving people a chance to stroll into the room as we meander. Thank you. Thank you. For those of you that know, I live, hi, Pixie Sacred Journey. You know, I live in Southern California. I grew up in Los Angeles, born in 1959, and the city is burned to rubble. And as I was meditating this morning, I thought, when is the United States? When is Los Angeles' birthday? What does that natal chart look like? So I pulled it up and there's some interesting things going on, which we're going to talk about. But before we do, let me just do the normal announcements. Oh, did you hear that, small? I tried to turn the sound off on the computer. Did you hear that go off? Pixie Dust, are you saying that you are in a relaxed state of being, potentially just enjoying a leisure Sunday without having to doll up for other people's approval? Because I'm all about that every day. Hi, Jules. Okay, let me, I thought I turned this off. Okay, that's off. So this should not, you should no longer, that should not happen. Okay. All right. So for all intents and purposes, hey, Sunny, welcome. Happy New Year. I know it's halfway through the first 2 weeks. We're just starting getting back. Okay, so for the playback, this video is based on whole sign Western astrology. So that means when I'm talking about a sign, like when I do the Aries reading, it's for Aries rising. If you don't know your rising, you can go to any one of the free birth calculators. You just need your time of birth and your location. Now, I've also been playing with the time of birth a little bit because if you don't know your time of birth, you can look to your habits, like look to what your morning habits are, and you can look to see where the moon was during the day, and you can kind of play with the time a little bit to help you determine that. I know it's loosey-goosey and it's not, all buttoned up and strict, but it often is more accurate than you would think. Okay, now this week we had the nodes shift. It was yesterday, maybe it was early morning, 11th, 12th. And that meant the north node went into Pisces and the south node went into Virgo. This is an axis of literally of suffering. It's a mental axis. Pisces rules mental hospitals. Virgo rules your mental health, as daily stresses affect you and affect your physical health. And we're all going to be sort of tasked to look at where in our lives we are running like a hamster wheel, Virgo, and where our connection to the divine helps support us as the earth plane goes through a huge transformation. So that is a big deal. And this week, and it's going to go on for a year and a half. I did a separate video. It was really a brief video. I don't know if I haven't re-listened to it, but I went through it, and I focused in mostly on the Pisces dynamic because we're stretching towards that connection with the divine within that will help ease and have us experience flow versus the slavery and the mental stresses and the duty and servitude that Virgo represents. We're going to get to be egoless in the erosion of that. So that video is just an overview. And so check that out. That segues me into the January. You have your January monthlies are out. And then I did yearly videos for each rising sign, and I made chapters for each month. So you can go back throughout the year and pull out some of the highlights. So you've got a lot of things to look at. Well, just send the computer some love. It's a big time of surrender. Okay. And because of Small Wildflowers Inspirations, I thought tomorrow between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific time, I'm going to be back live. But this time, it's going to be all focused on you guys. It'll be readings for you. You'll get to ask one question. And, I hope y'all won't be asking, what does my life mean? Like a real question. And if y'all donate, you're going to go up the ladder you'll get up there faster because we're going to try to start promoting a little flow here. So I hope you'll be able to join me. I know for those in the Pacific time zone, well, pretty much for those here in the United States, it kind of runs into the middle of the workday, but I just thought I would do it during the time of the full moon because this is a really big full moon. Okay. And I did a brief video on the full moon in Cancer. I think this is a super hot moon. I'll tell you. The moon Cancer rules the moon. It's conjunct Mars. And Mars has been in an opposition with Pluto. This is the underbelly. The Pluto rules plumbing. So if you take, what is the city's plumbing? It is the water lines that run around. So let me segue into Los Angeles. Y'all want to hear a little bit about Los Angeles? That became a city in April 4th, 1850. That's an Aries with a Cancer rising. 25-degree Cancer rising, which is the Aries Mars degree. Now, this last week, starting on January 7th, when the fires started in LA, Mars retrograde was conjunct Los Angeles's ascendant. I was blown away when I went to look at that. So what is Mars? Mars rules firemen. Pluto rules the hoses that firemen carry and the aqueducts that store the water and the fire hydrants. Oh my goodness. Now we have this full moon in Cancer. What is a full moon? It's where the sun in Capricorn, government, authority, restriction, leadership, is in an opposition to the moon, Cancer, our homes. This is so wild to me. I don't know. Maybe it's not as wild. Do you guys think it's crazy? I missed you guys too. We had a lot going on. We were going to be back last week, but we all have our own personal transits. And I told you guys about my friend who tried to take himself out on the TikTok live, and then he lived. He had cancer. He was diagnosed. He had 4 to 18 months to live, and he died in 2. He actually died somewhere on the 2nd or the 3rd of January. So that interrupted me. All this nonsense, crazy stuff going on. So let me say one other thing. Okay. So I need to talk more about this Los Angeles thing because I'm like blown away at astrology. So right now, not only does Los Angeles have a Cancer rising, 25 degrees. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really think he's a much better place. I think he was a bit of a tortured soul, and that he It was actually the mayor of Los Angeles that cut the fire department's funds. It's so amazing to me. But the California governor himself is a very interesting character. And I guess you'll be able to tell by my inflection how I feel about it. But let's go on because this is crazy. So here's this Mars transiting on the 7th. It was at 29 degrees of Cancer, retrograding in opposition to Pluto, coming up on this ascendant. This is, again, retrograding. When you're going back into the ascendant, you're going back into the 12th house. So Mars is retrograding back into the Los Angeles' 12th house, where secrets live and deceptions live and where blurry lines live. This is all on the most challenging side. Then we have transit Chiron in Aries. We've all been feeling that, right? But when I look at Los Angeles' natal chart, it has a stellium in Aries. Now, I know I told people at the beginning of this chart that we're going to do readings based on whole sign, but I like to look at Placidus when it comes to something specific because the house structure is very interesting to me, especially the first house. Because in whole sign, if you have a 29 degree, 26 degree, 25 degree rising, it pushes that whole first house in a more prominent place where actually it's 12th house energy and it's more hidden or invisible. So now we see a stellium. Mercury is at 1 degree of Aries. Pretty soon, we're seeing in the Aries energy, we're seeing Neptune and the nodes. This north node just went over that Mercury. And then Neptune is hovering over that spot in transit. So it's hovering over the Mercury. What does Mercury rule? It rules communications, yes, but it rules our neighborhoods and our communities. Oh no, I'm completely small. I am so convinced that my anxiety for the first 7 days of the year, I was so anxious, you guys, I can't even begin to tell you. I decided January 1st, dry January. So I haven't been drinking. So there's nothing going on there. And all of a sudden I had anxiety like you would not believe. And the minute the fires started, my anxiety stopped, which was so weird. But let me go on about this stellium in Aries, okay? So technically Mercury is in the 9th house at 1 degree, and it is conjunct Neptune. Neptune is water, okay? Maybe salt water, but it's water nonetheless. And the north node has just moved into this spot. Then we have Saturn at 11 degrees of Aries. This is moving through the 9th house. Then we get into the 10th house. The sun is at 14 degrees of Aries. Venus is at 22 degrees of Aries. Venus is in detriment, and it's the 22nd degree, which is that die, kill or be killed degree. This is so crazy. Then Uranus is at 25 degrees of Aries, and Pluto is at 28 degrees. This is all the natal chart of Los Angeles. The anxiety that I was having is really, I don't feel anxious often. And the last time I felt anxious like that was 9/11. And I told Spirit, I don't ever want to feel that again. If I don't have any power or control over a situation, I don't want to feel it. So I didn't feel anything for years after that. And there were all sorts of things that have happened. Then there was about 6 or 7 years ago, there was a terrorist attack in Redlands, California, which isn't far from me, about 200 miles maybe. And it was around Thanksgiving. And I started getting that feeling again. And I told some of my clients, if you're anywhere, I don't care if you spent $1, $100, or $1,000. If you feel the weird creepies, like something's wrong here, get the effing out, man. Sayonara, leave. The money can be recouped. Your limbs, your life, your loved ones cannot. So trust that, okay? Anyway, so then this starts up right now. We have already had the Louisiana, the New Orleans thing happen. We've already had the Las Vegas thing happen. My anxiety didn't start till those events were over. So it led me to believe that something was close to me. Well, I'm an hour and a half south, 2 hours with traffic, an hour without of the fires, probably 2 hours from Malibu. I just saw somebody say my name. It's been, this is so, I just so crazy over this. So if we think about the Aries energy, right? Pluto was squaring all these Aries energies just until recently. And technically Pluto is, the Los Angeles is having a Pluto square because Pluto's at 28 degrees and Aquarius is only, Pluto's only at 1 degree of Aquarius right now. So there's still energy going on there. So this is was crazy. I just thought that was wild. Then the transit Mars, okay, that is sitting on the ascendant of the you keep saying the United States, of Los Angeles, city of Los Angeles, is trining Neptune and the north node. I think this is so interesting. And technically the natal Mercury. So all of this Aries energy is being stoked. Fire is being stoked because what did not happen, the plumbing, the Pluto energy that did not happen is being exposed. And this is going to continue on. So I think this is just honestly crazy. It made me feel, and the other thing that I thought was interesting is the nodal structure of Los Angeles. The north node is at 22 degrees of Leo, and the south node is at 22 degrees of Aquarius, which means that Los Angeles as a city takes pride in being innovative, takes pride. And when I use the word pride, I'm kind of being sarcastic because I'm not necessarily meaning gay pride, but at the same time, it does mean gay pride because Los Angeles is very open that way and open, it's a sanctuary city now. I personally think that Los Angeles is up for, as my mother used to say when I was little, you're cruising for a bruising. And I believe Los Angeles has been cruising for a bruising, and here we go. This was so crazy to me. And this is why I love meditating before the show, because I always get these random weird things that I should talk about sometimes, and they just come out of nowhere. So if you guys want to look at for yourselves, once again, the city of Los Angeles was conceived on April 4th, 1850. I use 12 p.m. as the basic time, but considering the stellium, and I didn't even mention, by the way, the moon, the ruler of the chart, which is a Cancer rising, 25 degrees. The moon is at 16 degrees Capricorn in the 6th house. The moon, I think that's very interesting because, yes, the moon is the emoter. Capricorn can be drying and limiting, but this moon was supposed to be about leadership and being empathy to the people. This is a city. So amazing. All right. So that is this week's astrology chat. So did everybody have a good first of the year? How did you feel through the holidays? And just since we've got more people in the room now, I'm going to restate. Tomorrow, between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific time, I'm going to do live readings. That's all I'm going to do is focus on you. You get to come in, first come, first serve, unless you donate money, and then you jump to the top of the class. Oh yeah. You know what? My mom's had a lot of sayings, and one of her favorite was, I think Marvin Gaye's dad used to say that to Marvin Gaye. It literally came true. But my mom used to say, suffer, it builds character. And my smart ass would look at her and go, I got enough character. I don't need any more. I always had an answer for everything. So anyway, we're going to do live readings. If you decide you want to join, you get to ask one question, and please don't ask, such a general question. Give me something to work with so we can have some fun results. Okay. Oh, Stephen, I wonder if he's having a Neptune transit. That's possible. There's a lot going on. Teacher's pet. Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. Well, we're I should say me now, where I'm trying to focus on the channel. I aborted the new Instagram account. It's just too much work to do to try to build the two platforms. I just really want to focus here. Plus, I honestly think that YouTube is a better demographic for me at my age. Hi, Pauline. You can choose it any way you want. You know, I think what it is oftentimes, you know, I think the best way to choose a question is in some way to empower yourself through the question. So it isn't really like a what will happen kind of question. It's more like, how's my momentum, or how's my alignment with the outcome I want? I don't know if you guys remember, but I'm in this, I filed a complaint, a formal complaint on somebody that has power over me, or at least they think they have power over me because they did shady stuff. And it went like, it's supposed to be going through a process, and it got really quiet. And I thought, geez, it's been almost a year. I thought I was supposed to hear something. And I went to the cards and I said, what do I need to know about this situation? And I was inspired to reach out to see what the status was. And then I found out that it had kind of gone into a pause. And through my call, it moved the story forward a little bit. How's my new job? Well, oh, you mean the new one you already started, or the new one you're creating? Because if it's a new one you're creating, it's obviously fabulous. Chiron in Aries. That's a generational, but it says a lot because there's a wound of self. And so in many ways, and there's a wound of, you know, that involves anger and resentment and not being seen for the hero that lies within. So, you know, Capricorn, I thought about this too for my Capricorns, because we're starting with Capricorn, but we took 3 weeks off all through Capricorn season. So awesome, Queen Leo. I love that. Okay. So I just want to love on my Capricorns and say that, you know, not only are you the most responsible, or close to, Virgo is very close, but, you know, it always seems like your birthday's around Christmas, and you always have to kind of take a step back. And this year you had to take 3 weeks of not getting your sign read first. So I apologize, and I'm sending lots of love to you. One quick thing, I'm going to just address Queen Leo. You know what? I think this is a great time to, remember the exercise I told you guys about, where you write a sentence at the top of the page in an affirmation. When I'm in my new job, it feels like this. And then you take the alphabet. And if you're bilingual or trilingual or quadruple lingual, do it in each language, and you put an adjective or you put a phrase down that affirms what it is you want to feel. So when I'm in my new job, I feel abundant. I feel balanced. I feel creative. I feel deserving. I feel energetic. I feel flexible. I feel great. You know, I mean, you can go on and on and on. And the more that you do this, the more it puts your focus in there, and that draws the components to you to align. All right. Here we go. Lucky's birthday is near St. Patrick's Day too. And my friend who passed away, his birthday was at 0 degrees of Aries. I don't know if you guys could think about that with the North Node. Neptune was on his 25-degree Venus in Pisces. You know, when you have your sun on the world axis at 0 degrees, and he had it. Now that he's passed away, I want to use his chart and as a little, like, if you guys want to do a live, to show you some things about. Like, this guy had Pluto opposing his sun. And that it was like literally a lifetime where you've agreed to go through a series of ego deaths in order to rebirth a more deep and truer part of yourself. But at the same time as he has this opposition, he had this T-square to his Mars that was exalted in Capricorn in the 10th house. And so he felt like this big guy, this big leader, but all this Pisces rising energy defeated him. And he was really an addict, and he couldn't reconcile the two sides of himself. Oh, I always do that. I lick my lips when I'm reading. I noticed that in the playback, and I stick my tongue out. Sorry. It's so, when you start to really play with this astrology stuff, it starts to get crazy with it. So weirdly accurate, but mostly in hindsight, because The part about astrology that we as humans don't connect with is that it's our intuitiveness that tells us where the fine lines in the energy is. That's why I like to use the degrees, because I think the first 10 degrees is sort of this new energy. This first, the first decan, as they say, is this, or decant, however you want to say it, is, you're getting familiar with the energy. And then in the middle, you're sort of like the teenager, and then you're mastering it before you're going on to a new energy. I think death charts are super interesting as well, because the soul doesn't actually choose its actual death date before life. It has like potential exit points that happen throughout life, which is why sometimes, can you hear that alarm going off? Yeah. This is what I want to move to the country and live on an island. Listen to birds chirp. Okay. All right. I'm going to finally start with Capricorn. I'm really, really going to do it. Really, really, really going to do it. I missed you guys. I felt a little silly. So tomorrow, 1 to 3 p.m. Pacific time, come on in. You can ask a question. And like anything, money talks. So if you do a donation or you do a chat live or whatever those little funny things are, I'm supposed to figure out, emojis, memberships, we're getting them done. All right, here we go. Capricorn, rising and moon. Okay, and I'm going to tell you this more and more and more. The more I do astrology, the more I live my life, the more I see other people. Your moon is the most important thing. There is a chart that I have in my database where this person has a stellium in Aquarius, right? And the moon is in Pisces. And Leo rising. I cannot tell you how much that Pisces moon eclipses the Aquarius energy. Where you think of Aquarius as totally independent and rebellious and willing to fight for what they believe in, the moon in Pisces completely mutes that energy. Geez, did you see what I just did? Completely mutes that energy. So your moon sign is very important. So find it out, check it out. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. I prayed to be more direct and straightforward and more Virgo-like with my communications, and apparently my prayers have yet to be answered because I'm still jumping all over the place like I'm sitting at a party. Okay, Capricorn, in the first position is the 5 of Swords. That's the foundational position. In the opportunity or the obstacle is the High Priestess, which is all about connecting with the divine within. In the Angel's Advice is the 3 of Swords. And in the final position is the Fool. This is interesting because while the focus is here right now on Los Angeles, there are a lot of people that have experienced very traumatic things over this last holiday season. And the 5 of Swords is really a very child. You can see clearly the swords are all just pointed into the heart here. There is a need to connect with the divine that lives way beneath everything. For my Capricorns, this is not an easy spread, because in the opportunity or the obstacle is the High Priestess, which is a really, again, it is Saturn in Pisces. It is connecting with the divine, and so that you can somehow get over whatever has broken your heart. Now we know that thousands of people have been displaced. We haven't even begun to think about the wildlife that's suffering. Some people have barely recovered from things, COVID, because this is the Fool. We're going on a whole new adventure. And Teri, as an intuitive and as a reader, never sees this as Uranus. I always see it as Mars, because, the Fool is going on an adventure. He doesn't know where he's going. He is following his heart on some level, impulsive. That's very much Mars, and pioneering something. So for me, and this is the other thing, as I'm looking at this, I really think a lot of this Capricorn energy right now is also the governmental structures that are going to really take some serious heat for the choices they've been making. I don't know if you guys have seen on the news, but there has been a focus on the Los Angeles Fire Department chief because of her focus. And rather than focusing in on the fact that she's lost funding and her people can't do their job, she's more focused on other things that don't really pertain to saving lives right now. And I think that while these are all noble ideas and ideologies, I think we all have to kind of get back to basics. When you're hired to do a job, you're hired to do a job. Nobody's asking you who you're sleeping with. No offense. That's just my opinion. And my opinion is I've been on many job interviews and nobody said, anything about anything like that. They asked me about my qualifications. And frankly, I think the whole people should be fired. I should start over. Because I cannot believe the fire hydrants were dry. People literally were left without resources to frickin' fend for themselves. That pisses me off. I love gay people. I honestly do. But Jesus Christ, if that's the first thing on your bio because you became chief of the fire department, I think something's wrong. I think if you look at every bio for history, they talk about all of their qualifications. I know, Stephen. And then at the bottom, they say, and they're married with these many children and da-da-da-da-da. So your personal life takes about this much stuff and your qualifications take this much stuff. And I think that should be across the boards. I don't think, that should be different. I just don't. Exactly. It has nothing to do with anything. If you're qualified for the job, you're qualified for the job. Adam Carolla was talking to Megyn Kelly. She had him on the other day. He lost his home. And when he was in his youth, he had to wait 7 years because he was a white guy to be able to actually apply or be enrolled into the fire department. And while he was in the line, I guess, to take the test or whatever it was, there was a woman there who was 5 feet tall and, maybe 100 pounds, real slight woman. And he's like, how long have you been waiting to be able to enroll in this fire department? And she said, oh, about a week. And it all had to do with the fact that she was a female. And I just feel like the world has gone mad over these weird physical attributes that have nothing to do with the things that have to get done. A 5-foot woman cannot carry a 200-pound person out of a building if it's on fire. She can't even drag him out. So that's my point. I know I'm losing a lot of people right now, but sorry, I'm incensed. The city I grew up in is now an ash. All right. On to our Aquariuses, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Back to business. Isn't it crazy? Well, what good does the fire people do being there if there's no water? I mean, that's just ridiculous. Adam Carolla was talking about like 20 years ago when he was applying to the police academy. I mean, the fire academy, whatever it's called. Okay. I know people are weird about everything right now. Everything is insane. And that's Pluto. That is Uranus breaking up the history of everything. There's just this, we're being tasked to go in and to look at things and have discernment and to have integrity. Back in 100 years ago, when you made a deal, you shook someone's hand and it was as good as breaking blood with them. Everybody it is really ridiculous. It is a lot of people angry. All right, Aquarius. Our first angel is the Fool. Oh my God, the first card is the Fool. I'm so used to saying angel. The second is the Four of Swords. The King of Swords, which is Aquarius. And then the Magician. Oh, wow. Okay. So the Fool obviously is going on a new adventure. Now, this is interesting in this deck because the moon is sitting right on the top of this Fool's head. This adventure is one of his emotional body, intuitive body, trusting, like almost cycles that are going on. I also feel like that crocodile. It looks like a crocodile. I don't know, maybe it's an alligator, but there's something that feels like the reptilian, like reaction, that sort of what's the word I'm looking for? It's not animal instinct. It's that I don't know. There's something. Oh gosh, my words. Reptiles have been around forever, so they kind of last forever. I guess my point is this: something about history, something about the crocodile is immersed in the circular water. So there's something about history. There's something about an ancient energy, and the moon is pushing up to receive something in a way that is not scientifically provable. There we go, Aquarius. I know I'm Farrell. Thank you. Thank you. My brain is really foggy. It is, and not because of the smoke, because I didn't get any. All right. Four of Swords. This is rest after battle and protection. Here's literally the King of Aquarius. Something is going on with Aquarius right now where you've got to be willing to go on an emotional journey. That emotional journey will bring some sort of peace, some sort of reconciliation of an old story, an old history. And it will reveal something about the way that you think that will give you an opportunity to feel a little bit magical. And I say that because the more that Pluto moves into the Aquarian energy, the more that humans are going to recognize that we are collective in our thought. The idea that that in church God said, where three or more are gathered, there is power within me. It's that same sort of focus. So the emotional body dictates the thoughts that then come out repetitively in our speech. And I think there's going to be some reflection of that over this next week. It could have something to do with the that full moon that's coming up in Cancer, because that's going to be a hot ass moon. I'm telling you. I think it's going to expose. There's a weird feeling with that Mars energy going back through Cancer, as if Mars is going to. The first time Mars went through Cancer, it wasn't actually being listened to. It had this whole fight with Pluto the whole time. And now Mars is going back. And I kind of feel like Mars is saying, you guys wouldn't listen to me, but if you would have listened to me, things would have been different. So somewhere I'm kind of feeling like that this Aquarian energy is sort of asking you this week to step up to a more emotional, authentic place where you can feel a sense of peace and recognize that your thoughts are things, and your repetitive conversation to yourself and to others creates your experience. That's what I'm going to say. All right, on to our Pisces. And I don't know if you guys have, thank you, Lucy. I want to say this. There's that growing stellium in Pisces that's coming, and it's literally like Venus kind of comes in, and then I think she's there now, and then she moves out into Aries, and then Mercury comes in and moves out into Aries, and they both move back in, and the nodes are moving. This is going to get really powerful in a way. And I think that the most influential thing we can do is pay attention to Saturn. Saturn, who has been literally tasking us, and I want to use the word demanding us to build a stronger sense of connection with the child within, the divinity within, the inner voice, the one that's saying no when everyone else is saying yes, or that doesn't feel right, that doesn't smell right. And if indeed we've been being aware of that voice, we are going to capitalize on that as the stellium comes in. If we have been ignoring the voice, this is a little scary, because it could get very erosive, or it could bring back things that could be very frustrating, or feeling, a sense of almost loss with it. And it could also affect how you're feeling, your vitality. So be mindful of that, because you can literally set these intentions now and start to create a whole magical experience where other people are not experiencing that. And little grasshopper, you're right. Prehistoric is probably the word I was really stretching for, because that's what that felt like. Okay, Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And those of you that love people who have a lot of Pisces energy, meaning, if you've got 2 personal planets in Pisces, you're very Piscean, meaning Mercury, Venus, Mars, your rising, your moon, and it'll trump everything. As I said earlier, when I gave you that example of that Aquarius stellium, if you have children that are Piscean, getting them into dance, getting them into music, getting them into creativity, it really helps, because the addictive tendency to escape the hardness of life becomes very strong when it's in the mental and emotional planets. Okay. Pisces. In the foundational position is the Hierophant. Then there's the Hermit. Then we have the Emperor. Holy crap, that's 3 major arcana cards. And the 4 of Cups. Okay. The Hierophant is, the first time the Fool meets religious beliefs. He meets the spiritual beliefs of the High Priestess. He meets the mercurial beliefs of the magician, but here he meets mankind's worship of God. And in that, it's interesting because this particular card seems to reflect many schools of religion. If we look around it's not really a circle, it's more like a labyrinth or a maze. And then we see the bull and we see the bear. And so this has a very strong Taurus energy as well here. So for my Pisces, I feel like there is your connection to spirit. Look at the top of his head is where protection. You're going to have potentially a lightning strike that will help you to maneuver something that helps you to be more independent and more visible. This Hermit is a Virgo energy, and it's through quiet meditation that you will actually find enlightenment and wisdom, extracting wisdom. Now, I got to tell you, honestly, the worst thing you could do as a human is try to release something. You can go to all those ceremonies and dance around a circle and feel all good for a minute, and you're going to get home, and 5 minutes later, that stuff's going to get triggered. But when you incorporate it or extract wisdom from it, and that's what the Hermit, that's what the owl is doing, extracting wisdom. And this particular wisdom is, where have I enslaved my mind? Where have I treated my body poorly? Because this is Virgo is health, Pisces is health. Here in the Angel's Advice, we have the Emperor. This is going your own way. This is that Aries energy. This is being a leader, understanding the duality of the 2 horses. There is black and white in every experience, and without it, the experience would be muted. Because here, to me, I believe there's a gift from God, and you're missing it, or potentially missing it. Because having Saturn going through your first house is not easy. Okay. It just isn't. It doesn't matter whether you have any, you could have a 25-degree Pisces rising, but the minute Saturn comes into that first house, you're going to feel it. It's somehow going to start to stoke something. It could stoke fear. It could stoke repression. It could stoke the feelings of, having authority over you. But this is where you get an opportunity to be the authority over yourself. And I really do think that for my Pisces, that music is the key to your meditations, even your workouts. It's a great way of kind of incorporating. If we think about fish, they need to move, man. Fish don't just sit solid. And even though Pisces represents time alone and time where, we're in our bedroom and we don't think of it as movement, it's a time of moving through other realms of your imagination, of your fantasy world. So there's a gift to be had as you step into that connection, and you do it with tenacity. And then you'll stop staring at these little cups that give you a feeling of maybe of a little, this character looks a little bit melancholy, you know, and yet there's such a bigger cup that sits behind her that she can't see. And that advantage could be you could be taking advantage of that during the stellium in Pisces. Because I think when a planet is exalted in a sign, when it retrogrades, I just think that gives it more juice in that sign to rethink and reevaluate and take advantage and then move forward. All right, on to our Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. As the nodes have shifted into the Virgo Pisces axis, while the signs, the house structure will be different for everybody, the idea of health is very important. And I bring that up because for my Aries, Pisces is your 12th house and Virgo is your 6th house. Super strong, right? Because they're the natural houses. And anger is going to mess you up. Anger is going to create things inside of you that aren't necessary. And whether you're right or wrong, because personally I think Aries can be right, but they don't get acknowledged for it. Your ruling planet is, retrograding the sign of home, remembering your childhood, remembering the nurturing you had. And, you got to kind of claim your life. Now is the time to be the pioneer and move forward, right? Because that anger or that resentment or shutting down something, right? Shutting down, an area of your life because there's been pain there or there's been hurt there. I don't know if that's fair anymore. And I think it's time for assessing a new situation. So here we go. We have the 7 of Pentacles. This is literally where you built something and now you're deciding, what am I going to do with it? Am I going to harvest it? Am I going to let it grow more? There's the 10 of Pentacles. There's more potential for, this is abundance in the material. It's also a feeling of connection and security. There's a feeling of a door has been unlocked. And this comes from new ideas. I'm an Aries rising. And when I first discovered The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, I realized how important, these repetitive thoughts are. And then when I did A New Earth, I realized that my brain had an imprint, that when I was not consciously trying to think of something, my brain was actually looping on something that pissed me off, because that's Aries rising. And when I recognized that, I started to shift it and was more intentional because I chose to make a decision. A decision is going to be made for you in the material world as well. Meaning if something's been on the, let's say some of my Aries are looking for a job, or somebody's been looking to an idea to make money or to create more security, more stability, there's going to be you're going to make a decision probably by the end of the week. I'm going to pull one more card. Ooh, I got the 2 of Pentacles. There's going to be a flow of more money or more resources in some way. This feels very money focused to me. So if indeed my Aries are looking for jobs, if you are looking to create more resources, you're looking for more flow on anything that you have been putting a creative attention onto it, it's about to start to pop. So enjoy that. Okay. Yeah, these are by rising signs. So actually, little grasshopper, you're going to listen to Leo. You're not going to listen to Aries. Aries is your 9th house, and that's where your beliefs are. I believe. Yeah, I believe. Okay, on to and upward to our Tauruses, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Now, I know this is not going to make any sense, and I'm pretty sure it's not written anywhere in astrology, but as I'm shuffling the cards for Taurus, and this is probably applicable to Libra as well, I heard Spirit say that when your ruling planet is in exaltation, that it is good for you, regardless of whether it's in a house. Like I'm talking right now for Taurus, and Venus, I believe, is in Pisces in exaltation. So this is good for you because Pisces is your 6th house. Wait, I got to go back. I'm on Taurus, Scorpio. Someone help me. My brain just went wrong. Pisces is your 3rd house. Yes, Pisces is your 3rd house. Taurus. No. Yeah, 3rd house. I can't do it in my head for some reason. But my point is this. When I was shuffling, I felt like Spirit said that when your ruling planet is in exaltation, it is a good time for you to start to fluff things up, to put some attention on a creative project. And that would be applicable to anyone. So if you were a Gemini rising and Mercury's in Virgo, where it is exalted and in rulership, it's a good time for you. So we're going to start paying attention to that little message from Spirit and see how that works. So we're on Taurus rising, but this is also applicable to Taurus moon and Taurus sun. No, Lucky doesn't bark ever unless someone startles him. And if he wants something, he goes like this. Where is he, by the way? He's in the sun sleeping. All right, Taurus. Here we go. The lovers. Oh, that's nice. If you think of it just as lovers, we have the Pentacles. It's also choice. The King of Swords. And the Ooh, Taurus, it looks like you're going to have to make a choice about making more money. And what do you rule? Money you make from your own skills. I say that because the Lovers is a choice card. It's actually a Gemini energy. And yes, the choice of lover is important because it's the trajectory of our life. But there's also Archangel Gabriel here, and she's overseeing the situation. And to me, this is really about the choice to make, to choose something that feels creative, because this is where I'm using this earth energy. The 7 of Pentacles is where I have literally created something. And now this is thinking into the future, looking, sometimes we've got to start to think, okay, Taurus, a choice will be made about resources, and a part of you will have to make that choice, not because you want to stay somewhere that's comfortable, that you're used to, that's familiar, but something that's moving you into the future, something that may feel a little bit like a hard decision initially, because you will have to step somewhere into something that feels uncomfortable. The King of Swords is an Aquarian energy. It's moving things into the 2.0 version. It is also where your hopes and dreams live. And the choice will bring you the opportunity to make more resources. And this feels like the resources continue to flow, because I like the way that wheel feels. And the 8 of Pentacles is literally a money-making card. So enjoy that. And I know as my Taurus moon, I'm going to enjoy that. On to our Geminis, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh my gosh, Small, were you watching the Dead Files before you went to bed? Because there's always those creepy drawings where people are trying to jump people like when they're asleep. When you're compromised is when those boogeymen come, those boogie spirits, when you're not feeling well, when you're depressed. Saging is a good thing. There's salt. You can use salt as well. You can get holy water. Say prayers before you go to sleep. All right, Gemini, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. We have the 8 of Swords. A little bit interesting. Queen of Wands, the Star, and the Emperor. All right, the 8 of Swords is kind of a challenging card. In this deck, it looks more benign than in most other decks, honestly. But this is really the challenge between making a choice from your earthly position or from pulling yourself up like an eagle and seeing things a little bit more from spirit's point of view. Most of the swords have either a red handle or a blue handle. In fact, 4 and 4, and they're pointed at the heart. So the red is that security, that sense of feeling safe, meaning the base chakra. And then the blue is the throat chakra, the constant communication of the problem. In my whimsy deck, the one I used 3 weeks ago, you see a woman looking at her own reflection in water in the Eight of Swords, and she's bound up. Her fears have become so overwhelming. So this is where the Gemini mind starts to go zzz, and now we need to kind of pull it back. In this particular one, we see two forms of cats. In the King, we see two lions, one calm and one yelling. Here we see could be a panther and a calm lion. This is infusing sort of this inspired maternal fiery energy of faith. And that might be the decision that you have to make. And that decision is very much about you. It's about moving your story forward. This is that Aries energy. And even though you may be scared and you got a lot of stories to tell yourself, maybe those stories are just based on something that this Cancer full moon will illuminate, an old story. When I found that one of the themes of depression is when the heart is literally being ignored, where we feel stuck somewhere, like, kind of like, oh, okay, I've been living alone. I'm always going to live alone. Oh, well, and then there's that weird confusion. Well, I like the peace of living alone, but I'd really like to be with someone. Or, I need to make more money. I hate my job. I hate everyone I work with, but I need the money and at least it pays. I mean, there's that. I think that push-pull creates a depression. And I'm saying that because, Jules, your comments popping out and I'm thinking that's what this is causing. But it's because I'm not really getting connected to that eagle inside of me. And that's where I need to get a little oomph. I need to get a little fire. I need to be a little brave. Here we see the same eagles, but they literally create the chair with which he sits, bringing them into the earth plane. And they are like almost as if they are his armor. And the other thing we see is there's always going to be a duality. There's always going to be a back and a forth kind of, good news, bad news, an either or of some kind. Welcome, Courtney. Good to see you. Happy New Year. Okay. So Gemini, that will be a little bit, I think Mercury is moving into Capricorn or is in Capricorn right now. These are also when thoughts become a little bit more somber and more sobering. And I feel like this is an opportunity to be like, okay, I'm going to harness myself here. I know that my brain does this imprint, but I'm gonna harness myself. That was then, and this is now. And just for giggles, it could be. And Jules, if you can come tomorrow between 1 and 3, maybe you'd ask Spirit about being stuck. But you could look at it as you're in a pause and waiting for an inspiration as kind of things move out or in as needed. Okay. Cancer, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. This is your moon this week, tomorrow. And I think it's really, I'm going to say this for my Cancers because God bless you. Sometimes you get so caught up in the love of other people that you kind of forget that it's the love of self that gives you all the energy to love other people. Well, if they're in trine and positive aspects, then that's about capitalizing on the now versus the then. I have Pluto that was squaring my Mars and my Sun and my Venus, but now Pluto is sextiling my South Node and my Jupiter. So that tells me that something about my Jupiter energy is habitual to my soul, and it's my job to step into that vibration instead and that expansion. And with every expansion, there comes some release of some kind, and I hate that word release. I just saw myself wearing and like being a little kid and wanting to keep, the same t-shirt on, but I've outgrown the t-shirt. I need a new t-shirt. Okay. It's Cancer. Here we go. You don't hear the name Bob very often, although I do use it often myself. All right, my Cancers. The Fool in the foundational position, the Four of Wands in the opportunity or the obstacle, the Queen of Cups, that's you, and the Magician. Wow. A lot of us are being tasked to go on the fool's journey of being aware of our thoughts. I used to get into it. It was interesting. I had a friend for many years, and he met me when I was an angry woman. I smoked cigarettes. I was angry. I was drinking all the time. And he never wanted me to stop being an angry woman. He liked the angry woman. And the more I became a calm woman, the more we argued about things, because I would say, I would say, oh, that word, there's a vibration there. Like, oh, you need to do this. I'm like, oh, need is hard. You get to. And he'd be like, that's ridiculous, Teri. And we would argue more and more about semantics. You're going to go on a journey of semantics, Cancer, because this is your moon that's been ruling you and here and feeling you and being complete. I think this is really about, letting the prehistoric sit where it is, allowing your moon and the stars to shine, to be excited, to be a bit of a master here. The Fool in this particular deck is not about to fall off a cliff. He's about to come out of hibernation. He's about to see the world from a new place where things are growing, where spring is sprung, and the little bambinos get to come out of hibernation and enjoy. And that's all done as a result of your own emotional self-care. And really looking at that as something that's important. And that self-care comes from recognizing that your emotions literally come out of our mouth. It's so funny sometimes when somebody wants to say something and somebody else doesn't want to hear it. It's almost like the person who wants to say it can get triggered to the point where they become obsessed over what it is they have to say, the more the other person shuts it down. Now, I know this sounds weird, but I think that there's an awareness. You're starting to come into an awareness of your thoughts and your emotions being aligned. And when you become aware of it, then you start to recognize it. If I'm going to just lovingly say, Jules, I've been depressed. How could we rephrase that? 11 people, 11 likes in the room right now. I've been in a pause. And I feel a little bit like this pause is getting a little bit like I'm over it. I almost feel like we're playing a little bit. The battling depression the whole life I too have battled depression, but I think that the human experience is depressing. I think that the human experience is so fucked up, and we watch stuff, pardon my language, and we watch stuff that make us feel like life is supposed to be better than it really is. But it only becomes better when we take charge of it, when we start to say no to the things that don't resonate with us and say yes to the things that do. That's the only way. And meds is not the answer. In my Pisces Virgo little in brief and the thumbnail, it's meditation over medication. It's pharma, F-A-R-M-A versus P-H. And then something spirit over spirits. Because I literally think that unfortunately sometimes with Cancer, your emotions can get so invested not only in other people but in yourself, and how that relationship affects you, and then that can inadvertently focus your thoughts on a problem versus a solution. Cancer is also a natural healer, and when you're a natural healer, you tend to look for problems. I got to see Meet the Parents. I haven't seen that. I don't know why I have trouble sitting down for full-blown movies. I can't even tell you what an idiot I am when I watch TV. So I put on a show. I don't sit down and watch it. I do dishes. And then I'm like, oh, I missed that. And I rewind. And by the time I rewind, I go back to doing whatever it was I was doing, and I missed it again. I'm like the most ADD. I just don't think I don't know what's wrong with me. Anyway. All right, Leo, here we go. I must have, and I watch a lot of baking shows. So I watched the kids. Oh, you know what was the funniest thing I saw this week was um, the worst cooks in America, villains versus heroes. That was funny. Somebody made chocolate lasagna, and it was disgusting. I'm constantly hitting rewind. Pamela motherfuck. Oh, that's very funny. I got it. All right, here we go, Leo. In the foundational position, we have the King of Swords. We have in the opportunity or the obstacle, the Knight of Wands. We have the Angel's advice is the Devil. That's very interesting. And the Nine of Swords. This is not easy. I'm going to say it. Oh, this indicates a lot of worry for you, a lot of concern, a lot of feeling that you're not in control right now. And, if we think about Mars was just retrograding in your first house. Now Mars has gone into your 12th house technically. The King of Swords, again, is that Aquarian energy. And this would be asking you to be a little bit more stepping back from the situation, looking at being more logical, looking at things from a bigger picture. The Knight of Wands is very much a fiery, warm, creative, passionate energy. And yet somehow something's being thwarted. And maybe it could be your own fears. It could be your own trepidations, because the Nine of Swords is a card of worry, but the worry is not necessarily merited. It's a projection of some kind. I got to pull one more for my Leos. This is too challenging, honestly. Okay. Then we get the Eight of Cups. When you're Leo rising, you are going to be experiencing a Pluto opposition, and that Devil card could represent the opposition, something of authority, something that, challenges you to their agenda. That's the way I would want to put it. And you are going to have to sort of decipher on some level what is more important to you, because I think what's happening here is Spirit is actually saying that it might be time to adopt a more neutral or more, I hate to say it like this, but I'm going to have to be blunt. Space is cold. Science can be a little cold, and Aquarius can be a little cold emotionally. Here in your 7th house of Aquarius, you might have to be a little bit cold, a little bit thinking about the future, about, not giving in to potential fiery emotions that are manipulating you and making you worry about things because you feel a bit out of control. And I think you might walk away from something, because this is where you walk away, not because everything is terrible, but because it's not aligned. It's not bringing peace. It's not bringing that sense of, a Leo without fun is like a day without sunshine, literally. So, this is a little bit challenging. And you may, and I'm going to say it real quickly, you may rebel again. You may get like almost pissed off about something. It's almost like if somebody tries to manipulate you into something lesser than you deserve, you may just be like, no, done, out. It could be anything. Doesn't have to be anything catastrophic. It felt, as I said that, I felt like Spirit was like, this is the beginning of a series of opportunities for Leo to, peel back the onion of their true essence and to birth that into a material situation where you can feel the applause of the audience. All right, let's go on to our Virgos, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. You don't have to gently hit the like button. You can smash it with your fist if you want. I don't care. And don't forget, we're going to do live tomorrow between 1 and 3. And this is focused on you and your questions. Money talks, BS walks, and everybody else will be in the queue. Okay. So this is, we're on to Virgo. rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. In the foundational position, we have the 9 of Swords. We have the 2 of Swords. In the opportunity or the obstacle, we have the Emperor in the Angel's Advice. And then we have this 5 of Swords. You know, as I was shuffling, and then I saw somebody wrote my moon. That one went by fast. Where'd it go? In any case, you know, having a Virgo moon is very much a focus on other people. And it's not an easy, oh, it was just call me C. It's not easy to recognize how important it is to serve the self. And now we have this South Node entering the sign of your moon or your first house, and the amount of potential. The South Node can be very erosive. You know, it's going to move something out that doesn't serve a bigger picture there, or a bad habit, you know. And so the reason I say that is because the habit may be worry. I mean, Virgo, hello. I'm not saying there is anything to worry about. I'm saying this could be a habit. Almost everyone that has a strong Virgo energy that I know wants to plan, strategize, have a roadmap. There's no jumping out of the plane without knowing, you know, where we're going to land. And here, there's the decision making, right? And here's the Emperor, the pioneer. And I kind of feel like that there's could be something going on this week where you start to recognize that you can make all the plans in the world. And I don't know if all the plans will help. It's about kind of maybe being a little more flowy, because now we have this 5 of Swords. And yeah, that's good. Don't plan, set goals. And then, yeah, that might help, because this 5 of Swords is a difficult, there's a bit of an argument that happens, or this looks to me like Virgo would worry about an argument, not necessarily be having an argument, that there's the potential, there's a decision that you want to do something that's more focused on you than it is on other people. And you could be concerned how other people will respond to it. And if it is like quitting your job, quitting your relationship, or just saying no to something that you've always done. I don't want to pick up your kids from school every day anymore. I'm sorry. I don't have time for that. I had something else to do, but I need you. I need you. I'm sorry. I got other plans. I can't do it anymore. That's kind of what you're going to go through. And the challenge is that if you fight yourself and your truth, and you try to still do everything for everyone and find your peace of mind, you could erode your health. That South Node in Virgo is no joke when it comes to taking care of your physical being. So get plenty of rest. And rest is not just sitting. Rest is peace. Rest is like your mind is like, oh. I know nobody's mind is really like that ever. I'm not even sure. I have had the weirdest like dreams as I'm falling asleep at night. I don't even know. They're weird mind. They're weird mashups of like day residue and other stuff. It's so weird. All right. On to our Libras, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. In the foundational position is the 6 of Pentacles. Then we have the 5 of Wands. Then we have the Emperor again. Look at all this Aries energy that's coming up. And then the Devil. Oh, wow. Okay. Libra, me. I have to pull a clarification card on that last one. What is going on with this? And the King of Swords. The 6 of Pentacles is an interesting one in this deck because it's very focused on Native American lore and the white buffalo. The white buffalo is very rare, and this was the gods seeing down upon the village and bringing prosperity. The 5 of Wands is a card of competition. It's a card of, where people essentially are competing for something. Now I have this angel's advice, which is don't compete. Stay the course. Be who you are. Trust who you are and be mindful of any angers and resentments that could potentially be coming up. And this is the thing, Libra is not known to be angry or resentful. And yet Libra can be very passive aggressive because it doesn't want the confrontation, but it wants the outcome. Because there's something going on where there's some sort of restriction happening. And there's some sort of, like, when I look at this, it's a restriction to move forward. Because I'm looking at the King of Swords mostly not as the qualities of a person as much as it feels like being able to take off. Like, it's almost like this feels like Saturn and Uranus are having a conflict of some kind. So this is what I want to offer you, because I think that one of the things that's going on for all of us is that to set intentions. So if this full moon brings about some sort of illumination that feels, I need to pull one more card for Libra. I'm sorry. Let me just look at this. Hold on. The 9 of Pentacles comes on top of this. Okay, this is not so bad, but something is going to take place where first you're going to feel some sort of boxing in, some sort of, this is Capricorn, Saturn energy. Something's going to feel repressive. Then we have this, how will I keep my eye on the future? I'm not emotional at this moment. I hold myself steady. And then we see this 9 of Pentacles. This actually feels good. And it's the cat that I'm focused in on. This particular cat is like, a black Bengal tiger. And there's a thing about you're being protected from the darkness as you stay calm, but not, you got to watch the way you're thinking, your mind. That's the only way I can put it. Don't go to the dark side, even though it sounds dark. That's the way it reads to me. Okay, let's go on to Scorpio. And this is the thing. Not everybody was affected by the Los Angeles fires. Not everyone was affected by the bombing in the car bombing in Las Vegas or the New Orleans thing. And there was a few other things. I think there was a shooting in Queens as well. There's quite a few things that happened. But as a community, hearing all these things does affect us. And we feel a sense of vulnerability and a sense of fear. And we have up until now looked to our protective agencies and trusted them. And we're finding out that these agencies aren't necessarily doing the things they're supposed to be doing. And so my point is this, is that when you start to feel vulnerable in some way, the natural tendency will be to go into your particular world and worry about something there. And it could be that you're just feeling the ripple effect of everything that's happening. And when you can differentiate between the two, then you can ask Spirit to move what is not yours out of your emotional body so that you could feel the divinity of safety and of intention of thought. Okay, hope that made sense. Scorpio, here we go. Oh my gosh, Sunny, you're like, I'm telling you, when I see Scorpio with anybody with a lot of planets in Scorpio, I don't need your moon to be there. I'm telling you, Scorpio is the most intuitive sign of the whole zodiac. If you have a personal planet there, not a generational one, but a personal one, you'll have a knowing. And it's honestly a call to leadership. Because what you know, you can turn into a weapon. And then you'll get villainized for being right. Okay, here we go. Scorpio, rising moon, sun, and stellium. Lucy Rose, my mom used to say, silence is golden, so let's all get rich. And I can't even tell you what I thought of her as a child. The only thing I wanted to be silent was her. All right, Scorpio. We have the 8 of Swords, the Knight of Pentacles, the Justice card, and the 5 of Pentacles. There's a pause of something. The 8 of Swords is not easy. It is, again, we saw it earlier. I can't remember what sign it was. And it's really this sort of in this deck, there's this focus in on survival and how I speak about my personal peace, survival, comfort, etc. There is a call to coming up from spirit. Okay, let me back up. I've had Pluto transits conjunct most of my personal planets except for my moon my whole life, and I had an opposition. Every single death that I went through as a result of Pluto made me more Teri, made me more actually aware of the things that how I contributed to my experiences. Scorpio, you're so incredibly powerful that if you get into that dense energy, if you get into too much of that criminal part of your mind, it'll actually trap you. Okay. Because spirit is literally saying to pull yourself up and start to pay attention to what you're saying, what you're thinking, how you're thinking it, and looking for how it actually serves you versus trying to pull you under. Because this Knight of Pentacles is very, very brave, willing to bring into the material world and anchor it in. And here is the Justice card. And I think that's karmic justice. I mean, I feel like that's what's being offered to you. But if you go down the path of looking too much at the challenges, look, this is the problem, because most of the time, you're right. Whatever the slight is, whatever has happened, it did happen. But I don't know that you're powerful enough over another person in a situation to get what you're looking for from them. So on some level, the reconciliation of the situation comes from your choice of how you want to feel about you, because this feels very, very sad. And I don't think you're alone. And I think that the idea that this character walks with the wolf, wolves are pack members, and your pack isn't always human. Sometimes your pack is divine. And I think that as you spend time sort of connecting with the eagle within you, you know, the way I say eagle, I mean it literally like a bird of prey. Like I know my majesty, and owning it versus taking yourself to that other side that nobody can kind of pull you out of, because you're really too powerful for anyone else to pull you out of it. Let's pull one more, because that Five of Pentacles isn't easy. There's that. Look at that King of Damn Swords again. Something is, Spirit has been tasking each one of us this week to start to look to our futures, to look to like, does this matter right now? Do I really care about this old annoyance or this old interruption or this old injustice? So yeah, it's not always easy. Welcome, Sunny. Hi, Audacity Theater. Hi, Crystal. Good to see you from New Zealand. And for those new in the room, tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific time, I'm going to come live for 2 hours during the full moon, and I'm going to do your questions, whatever you want to ask. And please don't ask, what does Spirit want me to know? Those open-ended questions can be so challenging. All right, we're going on to our Sagittariuses. I don't think I've ever heard true silence. My brain always seems to interrupt true silence with some weird, flowy, annoying hamster wheel of a thought. This is our final sign of the day. So pose your questions now. Get ready for tomorrow. Come into the chat. First come, first serve. And if you drop some dough, you get to go to the front of the line. You have a 15-degree Sagittarius rising. You should be able to attract everything you ever need in life, Lucy Rose. That is the greatest. I mean, other than 14-degree, that's so good. I'm telling you, this is going to be so exciting to watch people become more powerful through their thoughts. And I do think that when we see, like, I hate to harp on this, but when we see the kind of numbskulls that are running certain things and where their focus is versus, on actually saving lives, it's going to create sort of, yes, we're all too pissed off to settle for it anymore. And that's that Aquarian energy. And that's where we go, okay, I'm going to do it myself. And in that, somehow, we're going to create a swirl. And that swirl is a good swirl. It's going to be like a wave of empowerment. All right, Sagittarius. First, the foundational position is the 10 of Swords. Then we have the 9 of Swords. This is not easy. I'm going to tell you straight up. Then we have the Devil. Holy cripe. Don't watch the news this week, Sagittarius. Okay, then we have the Wheel of Fortune. All right. The 10 of Swords, I mean, it's not an easy energy. It's where the guy has been, he's laying on the ground. There's all those swords in him. Here we see a Native American character, and there's anxiety everywhere. He's just riddled with anxiety. He cannot, it's coming at him from all directions. And here is worry, worry, worry. We saw that earlier. The Devil is in the angel's advice. This is not easy. This feels like worry about people I have no control over. And I do think that Devil card is coming up as government and authority, leaderships, county leaders, bosses, landlords, anybody who has authority over your personal life or thinks they have authority over your personal life. I'm going to pull a clarification card on the Wheel of Fortune because it could be saying that things are coming around. Worry is a form of prayer that doesn't serve you. Whoops. And then we have the Emperor. This is excellent. This is going to have you going in your own direction. This is going to have you birthing something new. This is going to bring in more passion. So I think this is what Spirit is saying. Fretting over a situation in any way, I need the money for this, or, I need new housing, or, it's not going to do any good. I think this is a little bit of a moment of surrender. And we know that within the Sagittarian energy, not only at 14 degrees of Sagittarius, we have the great attractor with a 5 to 12 degree orb. So any planets you have within that orb are the tighter the orb, the more powerful the influence, but regardless, still good. And then at 27 degrees, we have the galactic center, which allows us to download solutions. So for my Sagittariuses, I think that the Wheel of Fortune this week is offering you an opportunity to go your own way, to trust that what you've put into play will come into being, and to recognize where worry is actually holding back your results. So good job, Stephen. I find that you don't have to be on your best behavior. When I feel nervous, like the whole time I was having that anxiety, which I don't like, I would say to Spirit, help me remove this anxiety and to trust that whatever is coming has wisdom attached to it, has love surrounding it, and, there's certain things you just can't stop. And this is a time when awareness is being stoked. So, all right, everybody. I missed you while you were gone. Well, we were gone. You weren't gone. You were still there. And it's good to see everybody in the room. Welcome to 2025. We got a lot of stuff going on this year. So again, I'm going to quickly remind you, the January monthlies are out. The January love and tarots are out. Your yearlies, I made yearlies for each rising sign and went through each month, created chapters so you can go back and you can look. When we talk about the eclipses, you can go back and see the energies that were happening for you at the time. So I hope you enjoy those videos. And then come back next Sunday. We'll be here at 11 a.m. Pacific time, and we'll do this all again. But before next Sunday, I'll be back tomorrow between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m., and it'll all be about you. Okay, that's it. I'll see you then. Bye, everybody.